The panel is set to take you through the program. On the panel today, Comrade Daniel Rugarama, he's the chairman of the Pan-African Movement. Asumana Odaka is the Secretary General for the NEED Party, National Economic Empowerment Dialogue. He is in the studios, and we've been joined by Aloysius Kitengo, and Mr. Kitengo is a tax and policy analyst from Siatini, Uganda. We'll be looking at these big stories, specifically the events which played out in Bukedea district this week. The Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Among, gathered more than 300 members of Parliament at her palatial home in Kamtur sub-county in Bukedea. It was a Thanksgiving ceremony, but the activities which played out at that particular event were interpreted in different ways, or you can say ways more than one. Some said that possibly it was a show of wealth, political opulence, while others say it was an innocent event of Thanksgiving for the blessings the Speaker of Parliament has been bestowed upon by the Lord. But again, we will also look at the political jostling within the Forum for Democratic Change FDC party. Again, after that letter in which the Secretary General for FDC, Honorable Namba Fabi, announced that they were replacing the party whip in Parliament, Honorable Ibrahim Semjunganda, with Yusuf Nsibambi. The Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Among, rejected the move by the party, and in her letter, she indicated that petitioners from the same party are against that decision, and of course there is a response again from the SG, and we'll be looking at that and what it means. Finally, we'll be looking at the government of Uganda remaining defiant after the World Bank funding freeze. What does it mean? Can we really stand the heat or not? My name is Simapolo, and Comrade Rugarama, Dr. Daniel Rugarama, speak to our viewers as we start the show.
Good morning to you all, comrades. It has been, I think, 2 weeks now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and I must confess that I've been missing my appearing to you.
Good.
But I'm also confident in the fact that my young brother Apollo and the team that he has been navigating the political waters with is good enough.
Yeah, true.
And you have not missed out on the real content. I'm also glad that I have my new friends here. I think some of them are meeting them for the very first time, but at least I have associated myself with Siatini before. And I honestly believe that the opening remarks you have made, the areas we are going to tackle, are quite rich, and our audience is not going to be cheated out.
Thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure, Comrade Rugarama, to have you on the show. Asumana Odaka, speak to our viewers.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank the Almighty good Lord for always keeping us. And then thank you and the Salt Media for always giving allotting time, really, and inviting us to be part of the national, making a contribution to what our country should really be. I want to welcome also my colleagues, who I think most likely maybe, other than the organization they come from, which I have been I was a founder member of Pan-African Pyramid. By the way, I was part of the Irumba.
Okay.
If you ask him about Odaka, except that now this tosses of the world tosses you here and there, and then sometimes you lose track of colleagues.
Irumba is my student.
Yes, okay. Then my brother from Siatini, when I was still young, I think maybe I was wiser. They used to invite me for their since I have become older and still that's why they have thrown me. But so glad to be here.
Thank you. The Secretary General for the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue political party. Welcome to the program, and Aloysius Kitengo from Siatini, Uganda. Speak to our viewers.
Good morning, our viewers. I'm happy to be here today. I'm Aloysius Kitengo. I work for Siatini, Uganda. Siatini is Southern and Eastern Africa Trade Information and Negotiation Institute. It is a non-government organization working on issues of trades, fiscal policies and practices at national, regional, global, and even at our local level. We're trying to look at issues of tax and trade and agriculture and investment to ensure that they are fair and equitable to our nation. I'm so happy that for me, this is my first time to meet my colleagues on the panel, and they know Siatini, Uganda. Wow. I'm so happy to be with them.
It's a pleasure having you on the show this morning, and again, it's good to have you, our viewers, on the show this morning. It is the big show, the dialogue, and I must inform you from the start that you can be part of this discussion. Use our WhatsApp line. It will be running in the second hour, and you can send in your comments or contribution on the particular topics for discussion this morning. Make your observations and your contributions clear and concise. And again, I inform you that we stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Salt Media app. You can join us on all those platforms. My name is Simapolo. Let me kick off the show with the events which played out in Bukedea, and I will ask Comrade Rugarama to take the first shot. What do you make of what we saw in Bukedea? Briefly, especially how the public perceived this particular event. I told you, a section of Ugandans think that this was political opulence. Others think that it was an innocent, event. A leader, a political, leader, mingling with her voters, and of course, thanksgiving for whatever she has achieved in life.
Thank you so much, Comrade Dapol. And once again to our viewers, I have always remarked that when you do chorus from the 40-something million people out there, to appear here and communicate to the rest, we are not necessarily the wisest people, but we thank God that we are pointed out. And when we reach here, it is only befitting that we give our honest opinion, and probably the most researched to the best of our abilities. In that regard, let me start off by telling our audience that speaking for myself, that parliament now as we have it, the two people who are steering the parliament, at least at the level of the speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, and the Deputy, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwe is a personal friend. That is our generation really. We've been together, not necessarily in the world of work, but Makerere University, and a bit of this Pan-African work. And actually, I think he's going to be our chief guest at the Pan-African Pyramid Awards, which is a Pan-African event. But at the same time, the Right Honorable Madam Speaker, not so much, but I have always gotten satisfied so far what she's doing in Parliament with her deputy. I must confess that I was one of those after the death of
Jacob
Olanya that was skeptical. Was like, what is now going to happen in Parliament? I'm glad that as a team with her deputy, they have so far done very well. I was never invited to Kedia, but I saw in the media, like I think majority of us, and when I went further to inquire, I was informed that one, she had a private Thanksgiving. We are all allowed to have private gatherings of that nature, and that she invited her friends, including the parliamentarians, naturally so, because that's where she resides. And does her work anyway. But I have heard, of course, undertones that this, what she did was the magnificent structure, her residence, was a show of might, and she was not feeling for the people who are undergoing very serious economic challenges. Then that she was also part of the team which is advancing the MK project, because coincidentally, and again, my other young brother, Peter Ogwang, Honorable Peter Ogwang, was leading the MK team the other side, and so many things in that line. But let me just state the following. One, I think that we must allow people, whether such people are members of parliament, whether they are speakers, to have a level of privacy, really.
Okay.
Because I don't think it is proper that whatever they do, although by implication, really, when you are at a certain level in the public eye, whatever you do, you must accept that is going to be, especially when you throw it in the public eye, there is a way they are going to give it meaning when you are at a certain level. So in that regard, although we must respect the private space of some of these people, but at the same time also we must be mindful when we are at a certain level of what the public is bound to interpret our actions as being. It has also been common knowledge, especially to those who are not weekend thinkers, that our brother MK, General MK, has harbored political ambitions in this country, and that the way he has been doing it has not been in tandem with what the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda 1995 has amended. I think particularly Article 228, Clause 2, somewhere.
That's true.
And also the UPDF Act, I think Section 3. And those ones...
And comprehensively under Section 16 of the Political Parties and Organizations.
I don't think that the MK belongs to any political party.
No.
But even then, it's okay. You'll come in, you know. Of course, him being from the political party, I can understand. But anyway, so let me restrict myself to those two. The grant, which is the Constitution, and also the UPDF Act. Why? Because the other one, majorly, is what everybody must subscribe to. That is the Constitution. Then the UPDF, because that's where he belongs. Now that what he has been doing, and of course his official Twitter handle, where he has outed some of these statements, which his other senior colleagues brought trouble too, because we remember, for instance, that when General Henry Mukunda appeared on FM stations, was it CBS? We know what happened to him. When General David Tinyefuza also uttered statements that were bordering on political nature, we also know what happened to him.
Okay.
So basically, in that light, when the Right Honorable Speaker was having that private party of hers, and then she invited the general as the chief guest, the interpretation was bound to be that. Even if, by the way, it wasn't that, probably by intention, but the general public, following the trends, reached that conclusion.
Okay.
Then as far as the structures and what have you are concerned, I am one of the people who believe that if you can answer questions as to how you came up with such resources, you are entitled to live the way you really feel, as long as you are not breaking any law.
Okay.
And finally, maybe on that, it is that my very final observation is that there is a way we have, unfortunately, either inadvertently or deliberately, polarized the politics in the country. Either out of fear of some people or out of the deliberate ignorance. You see, there is ignorance is not necessarily the inability to write and read. No, we are majorly suffering from secondary ignorance, that you can write and read, but deliberately you sacrifice the ability to employ analytical tools.
What is the ignorance, Doctor, in this?
This is what I'm saying. The inability, you can read and write. You are a member of parliament. You are above average Ugandan. But you have deliberately refused to subject certain events to scrutiny and proper analysis. And therefore, you go into legal gymnastics and you want to sugarcoat, like I have seen majority of the things, which clearly you can see are not proper, but simply because probably you want to appear politically correct, you make those statements because you know they will pass. I want to be on record that I have got nothing against MK project, although I'm not a member there. Fortunately, I know more than 6 people who are very close, or the movers and the shakers of the MK project. I can call them right away, they can call me, we talk. Okay. And I have told them that my misgivings about how they are promoting this project. Although I also believe that MK has got a right to stand like any other Ugandan, as long as it is in compliance with the laws that govern this country.
Thank you so much, Comrade Lugalama. And Asman, Comrade Lugalama has given a scholarly submission. You cannot exactly pinpoint his side of debate in this whole thing. He brings you the merits and demerits, and which is very good for us to start from. I want to pick from you, Odaka. After the pictures came out of more than 200, 300 MPs gathering at Right Honorable Anita Mong's home, and that palatial residence itself, the rants on social media and everywhere, and the different interpretations, like I said. What came through your head immediately?
Well, thank you very much.
Your mind, sorry.
Number one is that let me also begin like doctor. I am not a doctor.
Just to refer to me as
yes.
Comrade Garama, it will simplify things.
That I have known, well, we used to call her Triple A.
Yeah.
As peers. I have known how we were in youth activism together when we were all what we were, when we were all on foot, very broke. So somehow I know I can flash back and know what her dreams are, what she loved, what, you know, because we were friends. We were friends before. You know, sometimes when colleagues climbed higher offices, finding them. Now me, who is not used to whatevering appointments, for me, once you go to, Apollo, you're my friend, once you go to where I have to get appointments, just, you know, you've lost me as a friend. Because I'm not used to those things. You don't believe in protocol? No, I believe in them, so, but I don't love a lot of inconveniences. But you see, your question, should be,
I'm looking at the public perception.
Yes,
of the whole event.
You know, and I'm part of the public because I mingle with them. There are two things. You can look at it from the point of view of a moral question. From the moral point of view. When or if one has what he has, and he or she can account for it. Yeah? Whatever you have, why should anybody favor you for what you have? If you can, if one, you can account for them properly, they can trace everything properly. If she can do that, then that house is small. She could even build. By the way, people do not know that in addition to that, you know her school, Doctor, in Bukedea. You know the school. 3 storage building, 3 of them, 3 buildings, which are about 4 to 6 storage, are cropping up simultaneously. In addition to that, there is a hospital, a teaching hospital, which is also coming up at the same time. So she was building close to 7 or more, or 10 at the same time. This one just got completed fast. So the question would be, the question now should be, can she answer for the sources of funds? And I was having again a discussion with somebody, and I was like, now, if one can be a deputy speaker and a speaker of parliament, and you cannot have networks, for example, building a hospital, you can't have networks that can afford you even a referral hospital of your people, then you are not fit to be a speaker. Okay. That's network, in terms of network. But the other moral question... As in lobbying? Yes, yes. Because if you're a leader, the purpose you're a leader, and not just an ordinary leader, a speaker of Uganda, of a country, who cannot have sources and networks that can bring her, put her to a certain status to help her people. Okay. Then you're wasting that position. Because me and you and all people who are here know the status, the connectivity, the network a speaker can have in a country or across the world. Now,
doesn't that, wait a minute, doesn't that in itself tell of how we believe in big people helping their kinsmen or their localities?
No, but that is how
I'm looking at it vis-a-vis a system where we have a government caring for everyone, each and every systems.
Yes.
Catering for everyone.
Yes.
Not having a speaker in parliament such that you should have a referral hospital in a particular location.
You know, positions come with the lobbying within the bigger space called system. Because a speaker must have an advantage. Now, you're bringing me into another debate. Yes. But my, without losing focus to what I'm saying, is that number one, we must appreciate the capacity or the advantages that come with certain offices into provision or affordability of certain things.
All right.
That's number one. Number two, but you see, the other moral question is,
I think
that
that's the residence.
Yes, that when people
we are talking about,
how many rooms are
that is it.
It's 65 bedrooms each, self-contained.
65.
Yes. Now, but you see,
So they-
that is the residence
I don't know if
we are talking about in Bukedea.
So, but you see, if you have that house, I don't know how much that house costs, and all the rest, and you're living amongst, by the Bukedea is among the poorest district.
Exactly.
In totality, in this country. But you're living amongst many thousands, it's about 3,000, Bukedea is about 300,000 something people. But you're living amongst very, very poor people, but you are the So what moral position are you taking amongst the rest? That's one. Number two, then you come to what you're asking, that's why I called it a new debate. That you see that house of my friend AAA can go for a real national referral hospital. It's not a district, not a district one.
Can house or accommodate.
Can go for. Hospital. Let me just use that word. Can go for. Now, you are a speaker, a number 3 of a country, coming from the poorest district. Systems have practically broken down. But of course, you know, when systems break down, we remain hanging on individuals who can help me here, who can help the people here, and so on and so forth. When you looked at, when they interviewed AAA about...
AAA is
Anita. Sorry, I am calling her because she's a friend, because that's what we refer to her. But Right Honorable Anita Mong, when they interviewed her about that house and also the new hospital she's building, her answer was, well, we appreciate the little that the government has done. That's her word. The little that the government has done, it is now our responsibility as individual leaders to try to bridge the gap that the government has not done. Now, you know, that is a vote of no confidence from a speaker into a government in which she is number 3. In which she is number 3. So that is the moral question. Now, the legal question, for me, from the point of view, is okay. Her guests and so on. All of us have ever held functions, and we choose who we invite. We choose who we invite. I was unfortunate, like doctor, that I was also not invited. but you see, whoever she invited, I had no issue with it. I had the issues with the breaking of the law.
Oh.
Yes.
Illegalities.
The illegalities that eventually ensued into that.
You're talking about that picture there.
Yes, that picture. That gentleman there, and the gentleman this side and the other, and the lady the other side, are speakers, are both in the offices of speaker and deputy speaker in this country.
They head the legislative arm of government.
They are the ones who make laws in this country. In other words, laws are their babies. The gentleman this side is a serving army officer.
True.
But everything that gentleman wakes up to do every day for now a number of years is to break the law. Unfortunately, at the very peak of it, he kind of recruited into the people who we want to think that laws are their babies into breaking the same law.
Oh.
Doctor was citing the Constitution, Article 208, the UPDF Act, and so on. But you see, if you want to know that the gentleman now is a signpost of impunity and lawlessness, you'll read, well, I'm not reading the Political Parties and Organizations Act because I am from political party. I am also from the legal side. You see? But you see, when you look at under Political Parties and Organizations Act is not a law only for political parties. They are also what we call political organizations. Now, by all definitions, as per that law, the MK, I don't like that thing. That's why I hesitate to mention it. Goes for a political organization.
Or not a party.
Not a party.
Okay.
It goes for a political organization. So therefore, that's why political pressure groups can also be managed under political parties and organizations act. Now, when you look at Article Section 16, Section 16 up to 20, it tells you how an army officer, somebody in army, in prison, or in public service shall not be engaged either in starting, promoting, or even be a member of any political party or political organization. And you see, of course, the prescription of but you'll see that everything they were doing is. But you see, so from the political point of view.
Briefly, Mr. Daka, you're saying, leave alone the moral question.
Yeah, the moral question is on Anita.
That rotates around the event and the unveiling of that palatial home at this particular point in time. The Speaker and her deputy presided over an illegality.
They engaged into a big illegality, by the way. And you know, now I don't know how courts are going to I know that somebody has already filed. Unfortunately, that person, people think, is now just running with the cases here and there. But that would be a big issue.
Okay, you are a lawyer. In just 1 minute, there has been a response from one section of Ugandans who are saying the man carries different hats. He's also a senior presidential advisor on special operations, leave alone being a serving arm officer. That possibly he is doing what he is doing under that hat of presidential advisor. So
presidential advisor, if I am a presidential advisor, do you...
And again, that was a private event. Serving soldiers are not bad from attending private events.
Escapism
the
and
pastor of the chief what?
That could have been private, but you look here, you cannot, the terms of employment under a presidential advisor does not include giving you, they call it what, spear and a shield.
Spear and shield.
Because in
Africa,
these are the Pan-Africanists who tell that they are symbols of authority. Now, that's number one. That cannot be. So he's advising the president by getting a symbol of authority. What is that advice, doctor? Number two, we have tweets. We have had tweets in this country. We have people who are actively engaging going into holding rallies and uttering those statements, because in Sorot he did not utter the statement, but Peter Guang, David Kabanda, and everybody else, the official spokesperson of MK is Andrew Mwenda, keeps saying he's the next president. Is that part of the advisory role?
Maybe those are just aspirations from the supporters and himself, maybe. But we can look at even the statements the Right Honourable Speaker made. I heard her say,
yes,
MK, the whole 11th Parliament, I can assure you, is behind you. She made that statement.
Yes.
And again, she said, we
They believe in God the Father, the God the Son, and the Holy Mother.
The Holy Spirit, which is, that's biblical anyway. You may not fall on that.
Some of these things, for me, I want to, from the, as now politically, I want to think that, we are all underestimating the problem we are creating.
All right.
And through that movement, we are creating a huge problem. But you see, these guys who are good, me, I was happy when I saw Right Honorable building that kind of structure. It means that she thinks she can live in this country longer. That is a point, that you can live in the country longer. But they are creating a scenario which is going to make them abandon those structures. Okay. And the MK is an entry point into those problems.
That is your prediction, and it's your opinion. I will ask Aloysius Kitengo, and Aloysius is not a politician. He's from the civil society organization, but I will pick your opinion. The two gentlemen here in the studios have agreed that possibly the public was right to question the events and activities which played out in Bukedea. I don't know what your opinion is on this particular matter.
I don't have a lot to say on that, because I'm not on the side of politics, but we all know that we cannot run away from politics when you look at economics, or when you look at what they call political economy. But to me, in my point of view, I will start by saying that in democratic arrangement and governance, we say that if you cannot represent yourself, you select someone who is going to represent you. So are the people we select to represent us a representation of us? Oh, yeah. That's the thing we have to ask ourselves. So if they are a representation of us, are we what they are? Oh. Or are we agree with what they're doing on our behalf? Because we have to ask ourselves that in one way or the other, because as I told you, in democracy, where they indicate if you are not representing yourself, then you should elect someone to represent you. When we send our political leaders to represent us, are they taking what we need to be addressed? Do our priorities being put into consideration? Because at the end of the day, if they are not putting our priorities into consideration, that means that they are not representing us. They will not be in position to consider our priorities, even when it comes to the national sharing, in terms of the revenue collected from us. What do we want to see? I had my colleagues were trying to talk about the issues of health, issues of education. So you find that what are some of those pressing needs which need to be addressed in our community? I've got the opportunity to visit a number of districts when I'm working under my organization on issues of local revenue mobilization, the physical decentralization. And you find that most of our districts and schools down there, our children or our pupils don't have even the tables where they can sit to read. They just sit down and be lectured. There are no notebooks. There are no textbooks which they can refer to or read. They don't have tables. And you expect that person to give you good result at the end of the day. He's going to be frustrated with education. You are sitting down, you are walking barefooted, you don't have textbooks, you don't even eat properly at school. So you find that the environment is not enabling someone to feel like education is the key to success. So while we are selecting our leaders, what are we expect from them? Do they come back to us to ask what we need? Actually, when people are trying to debate on the aspect of, I know we are going to go on to discuss the topic of the World Bank pulling out the resources. Some would saying that can we deregulate? Okay. Can we check on the number of MPs who are in our parliament? Right. Because at the end of the day, when you look at how the structure is in terms of budget you find that we have the village level setting their priorities, the sub-county are setting their priorities, the district is also setting their priorities. There is no a member of parliament in that chain. It's just on the top. Do we need, because you might think that our representatives that are coming from where our constituencies are taking our views, are taking our priorities, but priorities are based on the levels. So you find that they are not taking your priorities. Do we need them to be in that large number at the parliamentary level? Because the resources which would have supported in areas of health, in areas of education and others are spent more on salaries and other expenses that are supposed to be given to our leaders. So to me, I think in terms of the question which is at hand of the representative, the speaker and others, is the people we elect to represent us, are they representing us?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Viewers, you can be part of this discussion. Send your messages, and there can be WhatsApp messages or the short messaging system, SMS messages to 0701 609906. 0701 609906. It's running on your screen. Tell us what you think about this backlash from the public after the Speaker of Parliament unveiled that palatial home in Uganda. Social media was awash of criticism. Others bringing out Bukedea. Was it health center for buildings looking funny?
No, it is actually the district. That's
District hospital.
Looking really. Anyway, but that was the discussion, and others saying, how comes this is coming out at? Amid the decision by the World Bank cutting or freezing public financing for Uganda, amid issues around scandals of corruption. Why now? Anyway, one word, Comrade Rugarama, and one word from Asman Odaka on this particular matter. Finally, one word.
I just wanted to say thank you so much once again. I just wanted to say, especially from the submissions made by my brother Chitaka here, that the MPs we are talking about actually come from the general public. This is a true reflection of the kind of society that we have become now. And maybe when we are interrogating the quality of the MPs, and I say this with a lot of respect, I do not mean to undermine anybody. That is not in my nature. I know that we have got so many intelligent people in that house, but at the same time, to use the words of Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda, they are also vulnerable. We have, unfortunately, where we come from as NRM, and I'm a member, at least a sympathizer of NRM, I don't hold a card. But, and I heard one of the critical areas upon which NRM rotates, and that is Pan-Africanism. Because we know there is patriotism, Pan-Africanism, there are four. When you read
they
the
lie
Constitution.
to you.
Well, of course, there is where I'm disappointed, but I'm part of the process that should change what looks to be a lie. And that's why I'm saying I reach somewhere and I also get angry.
Okay.
But that we do in the Pan-African movement, we don't, and it
Comrade
comes
asked
from
for,
there.
for one word as
Yes,
well.
absolutely. We don't agonize, we organize. So the intention is that we shall keep organizing. The truth of the matter is that where NRM comes from, I don't see...
So the criticism, Dr. Rugarama, were justified?
Not necessarily, but these are genuine concerns. And as a party, there is need to address them. At the level of a party, that is NRM now. Because the Fonopondo has said something to that effect, but also maybe we need to pick the views of the General Secretary, Richard Tadwong. And at the same time, as a general public, you are not going to stop generating debate. And we must generate a debate that is helpful and healthy. Yes, let's not put this political trajectory of the country into doubt.
Good. Finally, Mr. Daka.
Number one, I think we needed, that's why we needed Kamia's proposal of lifestyle audit.
Okay.
That's one. Number two, and on a light note, I think also Speaker's House should be, as you scrutinize Anita's home, you should also scrutinize everybody's home.
Yes, yeah, true.
Everybody.
Let's be fair to everyone.
Everyone. Because I also know that Itayewa has two, which have not gone to social media, but two, which are almost also around that range.
Okay.
the deputy speaker. I also know that the home of the former Attorney General of Yaruhanga.
Yeah.
I also know. So I know a number of homes we should also. So when we are only putting the Anitas up there, although I think it is wrong, it is morally wrong for you to be on the only one in a palace like that, when everybody, by the Bukedea has the highest number of grass. If some of you people from Western Uganda have never seen grass thatched houses, but when you go to Bukedea, there are more people sleeping in grass thatched houses more than people who are sleeping in iron sheets.
Oh.
Actually,
so it
Anita's,
is what President Museveni once said. Wealthy people swimming in a sea of
but you see, that is the creation of Mr. Museveni.
In a sea
You remember Museveni's
poverty.
theory, Museveni's theory of creating a middle class. That's what it means.
All right, viewers will be taking your comments in a while, but we still have few minutes to the break, and I will introduce my next topic for discussion. I've seen responses, possibly from some leaders, PR machine. You people are now discussing houses. But anyway, I think it's important that the public comes out to it's freedom of expression, and it's also their right.
But if houses
public
are important to discuss, why don't they want people to discuss houses?
There's the other element also, Comrade Apple. You remember in the Bible when, was it a prostitute? There is a woman who poured the expensive oil
on the feet of Jesus
Christ. And all these guys who were surrounding the house, they were surrounding Jesus, they said, what a waste. They would have sold that oil and gotten the money and given it to the poor. What was Jesus Christ's reply? That
you'll always live with the poor. Okay, before we switch to the next topic, let me see what people are saying. Thank you so much for the program. I'm Isaac Wapakaburo here in Natete. The following have affected Ugandan politics. 1, impunity, malice, arrogance, corruption. There are 4. Unless impunity is gotten rid of, we are soon going back to turmoil. Lastly, the IGG has to investigate both speakers. Right Honorable James Wapakaburo was more powerful, but never had such a luxurious things.
Because he's his grandfather.
Oh. Yeah, you're not sure about that?
I know him.
Okay. I am Muzaya John from SETA. As for me, I would say if any of the panelists in the studio see any crime against what Genome MK is doing, let them go to courts of law. Anyway, if I may ask, what is the definition of advisor on special operations? What are those special operations? That's what I say. Some people think.
Apollo, just a moment. Does he know that there are more than 3 cases against MK which DPPs even did that?
has already instituted.
No, but there is another one by Council Gawaya
Tegure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, some messages are actually appreciating us. Good morning, Apollo. This morning, I'm humbled to see Dr. Rugarama on the show, and my take on his first submission. He has given us the clear picture of MK project. If it is in accordance with the law, well, some of us, our concern is the law of the land being violated, but as any other Ugandan, he has a right to do anything but within the law. And then I asked Dr. Rugarama, if I want to join the Pan-African movement, what do? I also want to put my contribution. I am Akampumza Abel Keru. Thank you so much for watching. He says, thanks so much thanks for the dialogue. I am Ray in Namugongo. The speaker is right to construct her house. So do you want the speaker to build for all the district houses? All right, it is an opinion. Council Kabinge Moses from Mukono, thank you so much for the program. What the speaker did is a reflection of parochialism and chauvinism. It is your opinion, Council Chibinge. I will not ask my panel to comment on that, but we need to go for a quick break. When we return, we'll be looking at the squabbles and fighting within the Forum for Democracy and FDC. Quickly, in just 1, 2, 3 minutes, Asman. Again, you saw the letter from the SG of FDC, Honorable Nandana Mafabi, telling the Speaker of Parliament that actually the sacking, I may use that word, of Honorable Semuju Uganda, replacing him with Honorable Yusuf Nsimambi, was legit and as per the constitution of the party. And finally, he indicated that these are internal operations of the party. The Speaker of Parliament has no right to meddle into the affairs of the party. Just 2 minutes before we go to the break, or 3, make your submission.
Yeah, so, you see, I think there is everything wrong with the action of the speaker.
Everything
wrong. Political parties are, let me say again, are managed by principally, other than the grand norm, 2 things: the Political Parties and Organizations Act and their own internal party constitution that manage their structure, processes, and system. Now, when you look at the FDC constitution, it has organs, and respective organs are given respective roles. I got very interested, by the way, when I saw the speaker. Now, the FDC constitution has the most frequently organized organ is called the working group. Which working group is like their cabinet. Then the working group is got out of the national executive.
The NEC.
The NEC. Now, you know that after the NEC, there is also National Council. After National Council, there is the National Delegates Conference, which is at the top. Now, the day-to-day decision-making of the party is supposed to be the national executive. That's for other parties. But for them, they pushed it to the working group, which is shared by the president. Of course, you should know that also the president shares the national executive because he's the chief executive of the party. Now, issues or things of selection of leadership of parliament, according to the FDC constitution, it is supposed to be done by the working group.
Working committee.
Working committee, which is a subcommittee out of the national executive. Now, I saw the minutes that that
of the working committee.
Yes, that replaced Honorable Semuju. See, then I went and dug out and compared it with the minutes. They say it is also the same working committee that appointed Honorable Semuju and also the others, as it has always been. Now,
so you testify that the processes were followed.
I think for me, I'm not FDC. But for me, I am looking at processes as supposed to be done.
All right.
And the multi-party. Now, anything, of course, the speaker was right to write back to ask for clarification. That one she was right. Because she may not have known that the members of parliament are not necessarily member of the working group. I think that was a good clarification. Yeah. And for me, I think that she does not, after this clarification and the provision of evidence, she doesn't have, because if we give, I don't think it is correct to give parliament and the leadership of parliament because under all the existing laws, they don't have role to play in the management or internal management of political parties.
That is why you made that statement in the beginning. We're going for a break. Yeah. That all that was done, what did you say, was wrong?
I am saying if the intention of the speaker to meddle into political organizations, everything, it has everything wrong about it.
It has everything wrong about it. We'll go for a break. This is The Big Show, The Dialogue. Let's go and return after a short while.
Soul Television, Femunyo.
Welcome from the break. This is The Big Show, The Dialogue. My name is Sima Polo. On the show, we have Dr. Comrade Daniel Lugarama. We have Asman Odaka, and Odaka is the Secretary General for the new party, the National Economic Empowerment for Dialogue, NED, and we have Aloysius Chitengo, and Aloysius Chitengo is the tax and policy analyst working with a civil society organization, Seatini, Uganda. We are looking at the big events in the week, right away from the squabbles and infighting within FDC, leading to the withdrawal of the party whip in Parliament, Honorable Ibrahim Semujunganda replacing him with Yusuf Nsimambi. But again, the Speaker rejected this particular move, citing issues raised in the petition by some members of the party and actually MPs who are saying the whole process was not followed as per their constitution and other laws. But again, this week, Honorable Nanda Mafabi wrote back saying all the processes were followed, and he indicated that actually Parliament should not meddle, or the leadership of Parliament should not meddle into the internal party operations of FDC. Before we went for a break, Osman Odaka was making his submission, and I will quickly ask him to conclude his submissions before we get the submissions from his colleagues, and then move on to our big topic for today, the World Bank's decision to freeze the funding for Uganda. Osman.
Yes, I had pointed out how the management of political parties. Because if we give, I think the makers of the law were deliberate that parties be managed by parties and appropriate authorities and their documents, and that's regulatory documents, that's their constitution, party, and then the mother. Because you remember, the leadership of Parliament, because parties have their agendas, they can have legislative agenda, what the businesses they should conduct in Parliament, for example, because they should use Parliament as a platform to do other things across the country. Now, just imagine when the leadership in Parliament does not touch base with the leadership at the party. That means you're failing the political party. That's why the Political Parties and Organizations Act give power to the managers of the Secretary General and so on, appropriate authorities at the party headquarters to manage Parliament, leadership at Parliament. Now, if we allow this to continue, some of us who are managing parties, you want to have lame duck parties in this country. You're destroying the operation of multi-party democracy in this country. There is something that happened recently. When this Parliament was starting, I think Honorable Mapenduzi had a good working relation, for example, with the National National Unity Platform.
Oh yeah.
And that's how they appointed him to the chair of the local government committee. Now, along the way, because he was independent, along the way, I think the working
has changed from being independent?
They
Yeah,
came
he
to
even
Parliament.
signed a memorandum of understanding with the NRM.
With the NRM, and
recently.
now, along the way, I think interest changed. When interests changed, the interest, and of course, our speaker, up to now, the parliamentary, the procedures, parliamentary procedures, it's not like others. You know how it is that a speaker is a member of another political party who works for the interest of another party. Now, the speaker stood as a roadblock for the national unity platform to change. Now, once we create that as the president, then we come to the Semuju case also, we create president. It is going to be an issue that would eventually disorganize multi-party democracy. By the way, some people were making an argument and taking it back to that of Kadaga. When she created...
She created a space for the independence.
That was a different case.
Yeah, it went up to the Supreme Court.
Yes, that was a court decision. Kadaga was implementing a court decision. This one is not.
Oh, so you agree that you agree with the Honorable Nana Mafabi that possibly the Speaker may have been misled by these petitioners?
No, the speaker should simply ask the party to clarify. Those members of parliament who petitioned should actually according to the FDC constitution, they were supposed to have petitioned their party.
Oh yeah, not the speaker.
Yes, not the speaker.
Oh,
because they are there. They are actually flag holders of the party, and this was a party decision. The party was communicating to the speaker.
Yes.
Maybe they would only copy the speaker so that she knows what is going on. But she's not a decision maker in FDC. Now, I just want to put this clear. That does not, I am only discussing the issue as per the speaker's communication and the party
communication.
Now, the rest of the crises are larger than that.
Larger than that. Dr. Daniel, make your case in just 5 minutes. We need to move on.
What is of critical importance here is that we all take cognizance of the fact as political actors that we have got very serious challenges within the political parties, including even the party which is in the government. Yes, I say this with historical facts, because we have seen what happens in NRM, that there is quite a lot of power which is concentrated around the chairman. Now when you look at the progressive political parties on the African continent, you go to say Chama cha Mapinduzi
in Tanzania.
Yes, in Tanzania, CCM, which is actually like a liberation party, if you like. And forget about Kenya, because it has been even the ones we used to know have just been wiped out for political convenience. When you go to the upper side, remove a political party in ANC in South Africa, you can see that that independence and seriousness of a political party has in one way or another sustained, and I'm not saying they are free of troubles. You remember upon the death of Pombe Magufuli, there were political, very serious political questions that almost tore the
within the CCM
apart. Even started before, by the way, the General Secretary of Chama cha Mapinduzi going to join the opposition was also because of asking very serious questions. But they were able to hold on. Now, my own political party sympathize with the NRM still has got very serious problems, because without the chairperson, these other people cannot independently work properly. But what I'm saying in this particular regard is what my brother here was alluding to, and I agree with him to the extent that the speaker, the right honorable speaker, as long as her concern is to seek clarification as to whether the correct procedures, bringing in my former lecturer,
Yusuf Nsibambi,
taught me at Makerere Law School. I have immense respect, and I want to believe actually majority of the people really have a lot of respect for him.
That's true. That's true.
He's a very careful guy. If the intention of her letter back to the General Secretary Nathan was to the effect that I seek clarification, were the procedures, proper procedures followed, because there are other communications to her, bringing in prior people, including the current Ibrahim Semuju. So were they the same? The procedures were followed, or if there were any other instances within the constitution, because she was also a member.
Because according to Honorable Nandina Mafavi's letter, the same committee,
yes,
which appointed Ibrahim Semuju Uganda is the same committee that appointed Yusuf Nsibambi.
Yes.
He even indicated that he, besides the communication, he even attached the minutes, attached the party constitution.
I think the only thing, Doctor, I think the only, because I decided to, I read all those letters. I think the only problem Nathan could have done is that in his first letter, whatever in the communication, it was a short, it was simply as FDC asking you, we have replaced this one with this one, and therefore we pray for your usual cooperation.
But I think the problem there again was that when you look at the reply, at least I looked at the reply of Right Honorable Speaker back to the Secretary General. And she was quoting the petition lodged in by
the other group.
Now, I think that one maybe could have rubbed Nenda the wrong side. Because indeed, where should they have petitioned?
No, Asuman said they should have petitioned their party
That's what
at Najana Nkumbi.
I would agree to that, but I needed, of course, to educate myself as to what the Constitution says, the good Constitution, what it says. But his reasoning sounds very persuasive to me. You see, but at the same time, I want to believe that a man who is as clear-headed as Honorable
Yusuf
Nsibambi would not have accepted.
He has made it clear several times that if there was any illegality, I wouldn't have.
Absolutely, because the man I know in Business Association 1 and 2, the man I know in sale of goods law, the man I have seen is too careful that even if he made a mistake, it would take me a lot of time to agree that he has actually made a mistake. Nevertheless, we are all human beings. We can make mistakes. A mistake can come from the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament,
or from the other side.
From the other side. But again, you have to look also at the person of Honorable Nandala Mafavi. When sometimes he gets angry, and this is, we all have our attributes.
Yeah, true.
When he gets angry, even when he's communicating a point, and a valid point at that,
he may lose it.
Sometimes he may lose it in there simply because he's annoyed.
Okay.
Now, having said that, I just want to conclude on
this by
please. Saying that we need a better way of managing political parties, including and organizations, by the way, because he brought in the issue of the MK and these other loose organizations. Otherwise, we are giving too much away, and we are putting the posterity in a lot of uncertainty.
Thank you so much. I think one issue he raised and very important is to make sure we do not set a precedent where Parliament can actually meddle into affairs of operations of a political party.
Unreasonably.
Yeah, I don't think that would be right. I have messages, several of them here, but let me first get your opinion, Aloysius. I know, and I have to make this disclaimer before you come in. You are not a politician, but please, you are Ugandan.
Does he vote?
You are Ugandan. What do you see in FDC happening there? I think you have been following, hopefully.
Not generally, but to me, what I can say is that the creation of parties and having political parties is to help, if they are not in leadership, is to help and check on what they see the other leading party is not doing well.
Exactly.
And to ensure that people can benefit, because if what is not being put in play, because due to it being or having an impact on the leading party, the other party which is not in the leadership is supposed to ensure that that issue is put into order. So to me, I think that I concur with my colleagues, because I know I want to use the word, I don't know what is there, but I want to use the word organogram, the structure on how things are supposed to be done. So if the organogram is clear and the members of the party concur with the organogram and how it is supposed to perform its roles and responsibilities within, and maybe it was not able to do what it's supposed to do, then they had to seek clarification from the petitioning the speaker to help in one way or the other. But to me, I think the parties we have in Uganda should be an example, should be exemplary, and should consider the aspect of inclusiveness. So to me, the question I could put before and that I have is that why were the members petitioning if they are members of the group?
Oh yeah.
Where
There must have been
the activity which was going on
must be
not fair enough? Was it not inclusive enough in that they could not concur with the issue? Because to me, apart from the political aspect within the party, what we would love to see is the political party that have got the opportunity to participate in the parliament, championing our issues that have been sidelined by the leading government.
Thank you so much, and that's what democracy demands. If people are aggrieved, well, let them petition, but again, it is only that Asuman thinks they may have petitioned the wrong office.
Yeah, not may. That's according to their constitution.
Okay.
Of course, there is something very, very serious that he brought out in his statement that it made me think that probably maybe the FDC constitution should have considered members of parliament to be part of that forum.
Decision. Yeah.
That forum
that
to
makes
make
that
the
decision.
decision
Exactly.
to bring into. That should have been. But as it is now...
Because actually whips are appointed after forming parliament.
Yes.
When
now, that should... I think that's a good consideration to think about.
At the MPs, according to the constitution of FDC, and the MPs part of the members of the working committee.
No,
they are
these
not.
ones, they are not. The members of the working committee
Are like
he
a
says,
cabinet.
comes from the neck.
Okay.
They're appointed by the president amongst the members of the National Executive Committee.
But with exception of very few.
And I think that is important, because I saw the list of petitioners. They are around 9.
Yes.
And many of them are MPs, actually almost all.
No, all of them are MPs.
MPs. And now they are now standing against the appointment of a person who will be
whipping
their
them.
whip in
Yes.
parliament. So it will be very tricky for him to
But
to
we
do
must
his work.
also note that FDC has more than 30 members of
There are
parliament.
37 around there.
Yeah,
34.
Very many MPs, if I remember very well, when Zavambe was standing for deputy speaker, almost all of them in FDC were giving him, not giving again Semuju.
Oh, so he has popular support. Okay, viewers, we must switch and move on. I have messages here. Let me read them out before we introduce our next topic. It's a long one anyway. I am Brother Nechon Odong, pastor in Nansana. Thank you so much for the dialogue. From my point of view, Uganda is headed into wreckage if Ugandans do not wake up and fight both spiritual and intellectually. And he lists down his reasons. Uganda is now governed by a creation of fear that is within Museveni and family. Instead of serving Ugandans, our leaders are shamelessly struggling to employ measures of keeping power within home. Okay? Secondly, amid the crisis, our leaders are showing us that Uganda has enough resources to manage whatever crisis, but the power to unleash those resources is misused by those having access to that power by valuing themselves and gathering according to their status. I think you're listening. It is only Uganda that we find. It is only in Uganda that we find a bunch of representatives, MPs, who are actually being represented by the cry of the people they represent. Do I get it? The reason those MPs can't be accountable is their congestion. Oh, Uganda needs to trim that number and set a chain of representation from the grassroots to the district level. Who would share this plan? I would share this plan if there was much time. Uganda can heal if the system is healed and delivered from the disease consuming it. Thank you so much, Pastor Nyekon Nechon Odong from Nansana. And of course, thanks for the show. And all the brilliant panelists today. I don't think whether what MK is doing is good, but it's an indication that they have captured the state constitution and state itself, because even the high profile people and members of parliament who would strongly condemn this have instead become vulnerable to this. We'll soon seeing down this country because there would be advisors of MK, like the heads of the legislative arm, putting him in pity already because of being opportunists. Alex Majanja. These are opinions and they do not represent the views of Salt Media or we who the employees. My name again is Isaac Apakaburo. Politically by order of precedence, Speaker is number 3. Good. I can in one way agree with the Speaker. Why? Because Honorable Nandala made that decision against Semuju in anger. Secondly, Honorable Sibambi is a lawyer. Did he consult as a lawyer if the replacement was procedurally well followed? In law, it is consistent of the law when a pregnant woman chooses an impotent man to have impregnated her.
That's not law.
Burden of proof is a requirement. You are not supposed to be pregnant of an impotent man.
That is politics.
I got lost in the jargon of
no, he didn't. There was no jargon of law there.
It was
he was giving an illustration. That pregnant. Yes.
Thank you so much, viewers. I think we'll be looking at these messages as we move on, but let's quickly look at the decision.
But you see, there is something he mentions which is interesting.
Respond quickly.
That to Apakaburo man. He mentions the issues of law, issues of procedure, and in Sibambi the person. Of course, everybody can give testimony about the clear-headedness of Sibambi, the proness of in law in him. So all we are, for me, I do not. Personality of Honorable Nandala is not in debate here. I don't want to debate whether in anger and so on. But whatever one does, whether in anger, whether in agony, whether in what, has the law been followed the way it is supposed to be followed? That's where we judge the whole.
All right, I want to agree entirely with Mr. Daka. The FTC MPs were not supposed to petition the Speaker, but however, I want to also remind members that what we're seeing in FTC is just criticism. Because when you even the group that's petitioned, it sits at Katonga, so until we turn, okay, the structures away. Okay, thank you so much, Abel Keru and gentlemen. Let's look at the defiance of the government in Kampala in regard to the World Bank's decision to suspend new projects proposals for loans from the World Bank. And our expert, Aloysius, please, you'll use 5 minutes strictly. This defiance backed with commitment to make sure we overcome this particular problem, or it's just politics, but that issue of politics will be probed by your colleagues, the other colleagues.
Thank you very much. To me, I I don't know if we have organized our house well to ensure that we can say no more. If you don't give us no more, we don't care.
Actually, to add on something, some have proposed reducing public expenditure, plugging the loopholes which have facilitated hemorrhage, especially tackling corruption, and again looking at funding elsewhere. And from the president's words, he said, with or without loans, Uganda will develop. That is true defiance.
To me, I would love to start by saying that have we prepared ourselves? Have we put our house in order? And there is a say in my native language that so today we are seeing that, but we have to ask ourselves, have we prepared our house in terms of ensuring that we are able to fund and meet all our budget obligations when it comes to providing the services, all the services we're supposed to provide as a government. Because as I told you earlier, that in democratic way, if you cannot represent yourself, you give someone the powers to represent you. And that person, as per the Constitution of Uganda, it gives us the mandate that someone is supposed to work. If you work, then you will be in position to contribute to the development of the country. And you contributing to the development of the country is by you paying taxes. And the taxes you are paying, they are going to enable the government to provide the services which you cannot provide by you as an individual. So you find that in one way or the other, the question is, have we prepared ourselves? What have we, or what did we learn from the structural adjustment program when it comes to the issues of the Bretton Woods institution and its implication to Uganda, the deregulation, liberalization, and privatization? How much did it impact our nation as a country? And if you can go back to look at the implication of the structural adjustment program, and now coming the new aspect of saying even if we don't have you, we will be able to sustain ourselves. We have to first appreciate that they have done a good contribution, because for them they are doing. The question is have we prepared? Have we prepared as a nation? Because
what do we need to prepare?
First of all, we have to look at
how do we need to prepare?
Uganda as a country is supposed to look at issues of creation of employment.
Okay.
Issues of industrial development. But when you look at what happened in the Auditor General report, it was indicating that even the industrial parks we have, they are operating under capacity. That means even creation of jobs, creation of the value chain, creation of the link, which we call the backward and forward linkage, is poor. So that means that people will not be positioned to benefit. They will not be positioned to do trade between them and the industries. Employment creation will be low because we don't create jobs. And you find that even on our exchange, in terms of creating and adding on our reserve, is going to be challenged. And we have had some people saying that even now, when you look at the exchange rate is increasing day by day, because some people are saying that maybe even the trading is going to be difficult. How are we ensuring that we can support industrial development in our country, where the government is going to be able to have more employment, have more exportation of goods and services into
improve on balance of trade?
Even if it is not outside to US or EU, we have the African continent with a number of people who are interested in buying our commodities. Have we marketed our commodities in those countries? So we have a number of things that the government is supposed to do. When we talk about issues of advertising, issues of marketing of our goods and services, do we have trade attaches in our embassies in other countries? Do we facilitate them? Do we give them what is necessary to ensure that even when we have surplus in our production, we can sell the surplus? Not to feel that like what you see in the production of fruits within Uganda, they are put to waste because they don't have what? Markets.
They rot
so
away.
Have we done what is necessary? When it comes to the issues of attracting investors. Which investors are we attracting? When it comes to the issues of borrowing and the debts we are acquiring and obtaining from other players, beyond even the IMF, World Bank, but even other players, because they support, but also even they can come direct. Where do we put those loans? Those are some of the questions we have to ask ourselves. Do we put the loans we are accruing in productive sectors that can generate revenue but also contribute to the value chain where we could benefit as a nation? So to me, I think while we are saying that we can stand, I myself, I can say maybe it is just comforting ourselves, because even other countries that are doing well, like Japan, they have debts, but they accrue debts that are productive. They put them to productive use. And even we are members, our country is part of those ones who are borrowing from Japan. But Japan is leading.
Information. Japan is the second highest indebted country after Greece.
So you understand. So in one way or the other, we need the
So
debts.
the public debt is not a big problem.
It is not
Shouldn't be the
it
big
is
problem.
not bad per se if you are putting it to good use.
Okay.
So we have to look into that. But also we have to look at how can we enhance our revenue generation. Because I was trying to look at the trend of Uganda's, someone can say that is not a good measure, but the tax to GDP ratio. We are 11 to 14.
To increase the tax base.
Yes, not the tax base. That one is a different thing. But our contribution in terms of measuring our performance, in terms of revenue to GDP, we are at 11 to 13 to 14%. And yet, as members of the East African community, we agreed to reach the 25% as per the East African Monetary Union or protocol. But we have not at all. What is the problem? Years have gone, business are going on, investments are going on, but we have not increased on our revenue generation. We see problems of illicit financial flows. Money is going out of the country illicitly through corruption, through misinvoicing and others. But also you look at even the list whereby some, because we have what we call open account in Uganda, whereby we say if someone is has paid all the taxes, like an investor, if you have paid all the taxes, you are free to take your capital, you are free to take all the money from the country, which has an implication on our reserve in one way or the other. Yeah, profit repatriation. How can we ensure that we check on that? But also remember, there is a perspective that we have also signed agreements, bilateral agreements with other countries that are allowing Uganda to export raw materials which do not attract any tax. That means we are exporting each and everything. We are exporting our money, listly. We are exporting jobs to other countries. We are giving them jobs, but also exporting the raw materials which we would have used to add value or put in other factories or sectors that need those raw materials. So you find that as a country, we have not strategized ourselves well to say that we cannot run away from borrowing.
Thank you so much, and I'm very pleased that you, Comrade Chitengo, raised not these contemporary issues we've been raising, Comrade Rugarama. We've been talking about cutting on public expenditure, which is okay and which is right, but he raises new issues, like whether we have special attaches in all these African countries where who can facilitate trade and all that. I think those are the issues we can now start discussing. Comrade Rugarama, we have had politicians speak. Is it political rhetoric? Is there a commitment? Can we make it without these loans?
I first of all appreciate Ndugu Chitengo's submission. That is very well informed. Probably he was even speaking a little bit above our average man's appreciation of issues. But allow me the latitude to historize what we are talking about here, because we appear to have dived into the subject without preparing our preparation, the audience.
Yeah, but I request we do not use a lot of time, because Even last week we discussed this issue. Let's look
I
at
will
how
try
at
to-
where we are now.
Yeah, I don't know if you did this segment, but anyhow, it's okay. Let me try to tell the audience that this World Bank thing is part, along with the International Monetary Fund, is what we brand and call the Bretton Woods institutions. The World Bank alone was commenced after the World War II in 1944, around there. Then it commenced in 1946. And the purpose was to reconstruct the badly damaged Europe, mainly, and Japan, where they dropped
The two bombs.
atomic bombs, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it is also, when you look at the World Bank, what its purpose is to achieve, two, I will point out, is to eradicate abject poverty from the member states, and also to distribute rationally and equitably the prosperity. That's what its purpose is to achieve. And the United States of America, which emerged from the World War II as a victor and with more economic muscle, is the one that crystallized the formation of the World Bank, and it has got well over 60% controlling arm. Now, the LGTB,
LGBTQ.
LGBTQ plus, or the anti-homosexuality bill, the very first of its nature started during the Right Honorable Rebecca Gadaga's time, and her passionate appeal to all that would want to listen to her, that Africa and Uganda in particular was not going to be party to anything that defiles our culture, is very well known. The law came out and it was enacted. When it was enacted, the groups of Mwenda and Fox Odoi and some other members, they ganged up, went to court on account of lack of forum, or quorum, if you like. They nullified and it went. It is recently when our sister, AAA, Right Honorable Anita Mong, came into office, that it was resurrected and was promoted by Honorable Saliwa, and it vote was passed. This time the issues of quorum cannot arise. When it did pass, the World Bank came up and said that was terrible. All the European community, they said that was one of the most abusive and retrogressive legislation.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, we're running out of time. I quickly ask you to...
Okay. So, of course, you know the challenge now when you bring in some of these deep things. But anyhow, and recently, out of all this, His Excellency the President was writing to the Wazukuru, and he went into history showing us how these loans have come and
have been misused.
10 years, the Ministry of Agriculture got well over $800 million. All they did was just simply spend it on
seminars.
On seminars. There are a number of letters which are part of this 27-page document that show how the fight has been. And there is a belief, therefore, that we still can stand on our own, because the development, the growth and development of a country does not necessarily have to be premised upon the loans. Going back to the purpose of the World Bank, if indeed, where African countries in majority of the cases borrow this money at an average interest rate of between 8 to 10%, whereas these other European countries and some isolated countries in Asia borrow at between 3 to 5%. If we were to develop out of the monies we take, be it grants or loans from the World Bank, Africa, I want to submit, would have developed a long time ago. It is not the case. Maybe final on this. The purpose of, you talked about the structural adjustment programs. When you look at Africa, in between especially mid-1980s, Africa was an export-led economy, majority of it. And because of the introduction of the SAPs, the structural adjustment programs, you realize that Nigeria, Uganda, and a number of African countries that had developed the economies to be export-led Because of devaluation, dollarization, privatization, and others,
Okay.
they were turned into import-led or import substitution, and we have never recovered from it.
Okay. So, from your submission, you agree that we can blame the World Bank for, of course, trying to export their values to us here, but again, we must also blame ourselves for misusing those loans.
Three things. We appreciate that the World Bank's part of the small monies that it has been sending, if it was being put to good use, would have done something with it. Two, we appreciate the fact that those countries that have domestically practiced prudent methods like Singapore and others, especially the tech economies, probably minus Korea, they have emerged and they have prospered without necessarily relying on the what? On the World Bank. And three, and finally, is that I am very sure that the design and the nature of World Bank, apart from policy, and the policy which is very unfortunate to African countries from these Bretton Woods institutions, the micro stabilization, we can go on our own and make organic development. There is nothing that is
So
expected.
what is being said is not just political rhetoric.
Absolutely, it is
Okay. Asuman, you have only 5 minutes, unfortunately, but tell us what you think. We see response from government. I mean, it is defiant.
Now, first of all, there is no, you see, being with the leaders who lie is unfortunate. Let nobody lie to anybody that anybody is defiant in this country. Because I know, and all of us here are informed enough to know that government is making a lot of apologies, negotiation with the World Bank right now.
Yeah.
You know that the vice president
But
of
that
World
is
Bank,
not wrong to negotiate.
no, it is not wrong. But you see, it is wrong when you say we are defiant.
For decades.
I'm saying they are saying we are defiant, and yet they are saying we are sorry.
Yeah.
You get it? That's what I'm saying. They are wrong.
Okay.
You know that the vice president of World Bank is in Uganda now, and sponsored by our money to come and sweetie talk. So is that defiance? That's not defiance. That's lying. Today, the vice president of World Bank is here. That's it. So I think there is nobody. These guys. First of all, I had my views about this law, and from day one, including the mover, I told the mover.
The Anti-Homosexuality Act,
yes.
2023.
First of all, the way it was handled, let me tell you, court is going to throw away that thing. And
On what account? On what account? Last time it was a lack of quorum.
no, on it is simply. Let me tell you,
Like,
if you look at the definitions of, for example, sex, you have a grand law saying nobody will be discriminated on account of his sex, on his gender, on his tribe, on his religion. Then you go to the interpretation clause of that same law and say homosexuality, you only make it on account of sex. So what is it? So how can a law that contradicts, that who's even at interpretation level contradicts the grand constitution? You go to Article 2 of the Constitution, any law or norm that contradicts any article or section in this will be null and void. But that's now deeply the legal and so it is going to be struck out. So, but
struck out in good faith, in the interest of Ugandans, or in whose interest?
No, in the interest of people who are leading this country.
Oh,
I will tell you.
Are their interests different from those of the people?
Yeah, that's what they are lying to, that they are defiant, and yet they are saying sorry.
Oh.
Do you think, now, if they can sponsor the vice president of World Bank to come here and negotiate with them, what condition do you think the vice president of World Bank has come with?
why would they sponsor the whole?
No, but let me
They
tell
have
you.
the money.
But I'm telling you, this one was done. This one was done. Are you not aware that the vice president is here? So that one was done. So we don't know conditions that the vice president is now giving government. You get it? Because they came on invitation of our government. That's one. Number two, you see, when we talk about these laws and what, and whether we can survive and also on. I hear all the proposals.
Is there a way out?
Oh, let me tell you, if we had a good system, like Dr. and my colleague have said, if we had good systems in this country, we would even don't need any loan, not live upon World Bank. We would even not need any loan.
When Japan is procuring loans, for us we don't need it.
But Japan may be poorer than just one region out of the 13 regions of this country. I have told you we have about 13 to 14 regions of this country, but some of them are times 4 richer than Japan. Do you know that just Vuked, which is 7 districts, if you went and quantified what is coming out of there, uranium, gold, sand, cement, fertilizer, and so on, Japan is just a rocky place, a difficult part of the world. So it is just our problem is leadership.
Is a 4.7
you get it?
Trillion.
Our problem is not lack of resources. It is not lack of wealth. It is not lack of anything. It is just leadership.
All right. Council Kabinge from Mukono says, I thank President Museveni and our parliament for standing for the truth. It's high time for us to stand and fight neo-colonialism. We need to promote Pan-African culture and say no to homosexuality. And the only way to fight all the debts we have is by fighting corruption.
Council should know
in all sectors.
That what they are telling them is not what they are telling the public, the Ugandan. That's why they are telling us in Uganda, but they are talking to the other guys in English.
Gentlemen, I read President Yoweri Museveni's letter, and he is accusing members of his government of having neo-colonial mentality in public service.
Yes.
He is the head of state. Isn't that lamenting? When actually, anyway, let me read this one because it is from our resident panelist here, Dr. Gerard Welewanzala, and he says, "Good morning, my brother. My challenge with the Speaker Anita's ruling is that she's tarnishing her image by wrongly interpreting the law and dragging the parliament into internal matters of political parties." I think that's what Asuman raised. She did it by stopping NUP from dropping Ojana Mapenduzi, and she has repeated it by interfering in FDC matters. A stage is being set where the Speaker will begin doing anything outside the mandate. It's a reputational risk and exposes the taxpayer to pay for litigations and don't concern the office of the Speaker. On the issue of response to the World Bank, government needs to review our development cooperation strategies as well as domestic spending priorities. The review of the development cooperation strategy needs to be informed by knowledge, not simply reactionary. For example, interest on market loans outside development banks like WB, that's World Bank, African Development Bank, Asia Development Bank, are unreasonably high. Some, like the BRICS Bank, give little money. For example, in the last decade, BRICS Bank has given not only USD 33 billion, which is just a third of what World Bank gives in 1 year. I think he is not comfortable with the rationale that we will go to the BRICS. We have somewhere else we can go for these loans, so World Bank is...
I think Doctor is talking about prudent methods within our economies.
I will quickly ask you one question, and just one word, and we walk out of this place. Mr. Aloysius Chitengo, you are a tax policy analyst. Should people expect something to change in our tax policies? Possibly new taxes or something, because the parliament is now talking about, actually the Minister of Finance is talking about budget review. What should we expect in mitigating the effects of this decision?
In terms of taxes, I think because they have a target of 30 trillion to be collected, and now because if the World Bank cuts, it means that even these employees who have been benefiting from the World Bank projects the money is going to be reduced. The pay as you earn, which is being anticipated to be collected from these people who are doing projects with the World Bank, is going to be reduced or even not to be collected. So in one way or the other, the tax...
We may not hit the target.
we may not hit the target, but you find that even when it comes to the issues of enforcement, it's going to be tightened. The other consumption aspects of indirect tax is going to be even higher to the people.
Good.
And the tax burden is going to be felt by the people. But the question is, where will we find the link between the tax and the services we want to see?
That's a big question. One word, comrade, in just 30 seconds, and one word from Osman.
Truth of the matter is that I have deeply looked at the document authored by His Excellency the President. I've looked at the recommendations which he has made. I've looked at the genesis and his battles with the public service. It is no doubt the public service is invested with the neo-colonial agents. We need, therefore, to have a deep rethink of how we can correct and position the public service
Good.
as a body that can be part and parcel of the development trajectory of Uganda
Thank
and
you.
Africa.
Osman, just one word?
Yeah, for me, I think you cannot give sensible advice to a system that you know will not do anything because they have lost capacity to do it. When a president, a chief executive is blaming his public service, yet he has all the power to hire and fire, select who is good and who is not good, then you know we have lost it. When we reach a point when the president, all of those things. So we seem to be trapped. I think we only need to work on how would we get leadership that will put things proper.
Thank you so much, our viewers. Our time is up, and I must thank all those who made their contribution in this program. You can follow this program on YouTube, Soul TV Uganda, and on all our social media platforms. My name is Sima Polodes. Catch up again next Saturday. This is The Dialogue, and I wish you a splendid weekend. Bye-bye for now.